Still burning up a little bit of vacation, so that's why my schedule's all over the map. I hope everyone's doing well. This won't be a long live stream. I have somewhere I gotta be here shortly. But I did want to, a lot of us, All American, myself, Vision, Canadian, Angry, like a bunch of us, all of us by now have either heard of or seen the movie Leave the World Behind. I would also recommend Goodbye World and How It Ends, and there's another one. These are all like off-brand movies, but they're actually really good, and you got to take them with a bit of, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. A little bit of salt there. Hey, Devil Dog, what's going on? And I owe you a call or an email next time I get my schedule. Hey, Lioness. Hey, Hunter. So, hey, Niels. So some folks had noticed that among the producers for this new movie were the Obamas. Everyone's beaten this one to death. But from what I found out, Netflix purchased the movie back in 2020, 2021. So the backstory is the director, because of the Rona, was like, oh, well, hey, Independent and GMA and Coffee said, oh, well, now's a great time to make apocalyptic movies, because he was stuck at home, and he wrote the book, Rahman Amal, or whatever his name is, and then Netflix bought the movie rights in 21 or 22. No, in 21. And then they started looking for funding, and among the people who jumped in were our former president and his wife, the Obamas. And somebody had asked me offline, it's like, are you concerned about that? And I'm like, no, actually, as a former president, he probably has heard shit from out in the world that we wouldn't hear. And it's actually a smart play, because, he wants to make money. He's not president. He has, that's a great way to make money, right? Movies are very lucrative if you can get in. So business-wise, it's a smart move. But the question is, and why I titled my video like this, are we missing the point? Watching the movie, and you can complain about the acting and, some of the scenes, it wasn't, hey, Kevin, there are a couple of Independent, hello, Niels, and, oh, I lost someone there. I think Joe snuck in here. There's Joe. Hey, Joe. I had to remind myself that even though hey, Tiger, among the producers or people I don't agree with politically at all, I also have to keep an open mind, in that if the message is on point, if the message is not bad, or it's a well-put message, then should we try to keep an open mind about it, and not, like, is getting distracted by a president that I may not agree with distracting me from hearing a message that actually wasn't too bad? Yeah, live chat, y'all. Be called plagiarism. It's called Revelations. Well, technically, I don't think St. Paul would come down, or Peter, or any of them would come down and sue you at this juncture. Unfortunately, I think someone beat you to it in the Left Behind series. Well, it depends how you view the revelations and the rapture, because there are different interpretations of that. But anyway, I just want to remind everyone that even if the actor or the speaker is not necessarily someone you agree with, I thought this was Memorex. Is it pecan? So in Texas is pecan pie. In North Carolina is pecan. And it depends where in North Carolina, because some say pecan there as well. Louisiana's pecan, but that's a Cajun accent, so it's pecan, bouillon. If you're a dumbass, they call you couillon. So yeah, you also have to get the local accent down. But I'd hate for folks to not watch a good movie that has some good messages in it, because we may or may not like, it's called Gone, may or may not like the person that I did watch the movie, and I watched it the night it came out. I, All American, because he works at night, he had posted, and I didn't see his post until we were halfway through the movie, and we had to pause because it's a long movie. And my wife and I realized we wanted popcorn, and we both had to pee. So we're like, okay, since we're not in the theater, let's pause the movie and let's go run to different bathrooms. And I looked online, and All American had posted a short, and he was like, "This is a great movie," and he was very excited about it. And I was like, "I agree with you, buddy." But just keep an open mind where some of this comes from. To me personally, from a business standpoint, being in business, I'm like, that's the Obamas thinking of their kids. They're like, we're going to diversify our little Obama Inc., whatever the hell LLC they have. And so thereby, they'll be able to reap profit from different industries. So that wasn't surprising. Actually, it's a smart play. If I could legitimately get into like Hollywood or some of the alternative studios that are in Florida or Texas and not lose my butt in money, I would do that. So, but I think the movie was really good. This was one of the movies, so if you watch 10 Cloverfield Lane, not to do a spoiler, but one of the preppers was a lunatic, right? And that often happens. They're like, oh, the preppers are always lunatics. And this one was not. I'm not going to say any more about the movie, but the prepper was not the lunatic. It was actually one of the more insightful characters in the film. And so that I thought was a pleasant surprise, because normally, Hollywood just beats up on preppers and Second Amendment people and all that. And they didn't. They actually kept it. Then they touched on other things. They flipped it over, actually. Normally it's like whites are not trusting the blacks, but they flipped it the other way. And I think that was more a little social statement. I kind of glossed over and were like, yeah, you made your little blah, 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 off we go. I was looking more at the big picture of the messages. Oh, Joe, it's Leave the World Behind. It's literally called that. Somebody says it's on YouTube somewhere, but you have to watch commercials. But I don't know how true that is. I haven't looked. But don't miss the message because of the messenger. And what I'll do, I'll refer biblically, and I may be wrong, so those of you who are more familiar with scripture than I am, feel free to chime in. The Israelites were having a bad time. If I recall correctly, the general that was indicated would be the right person was a guy called Jehu, who was known for drinking, womanizing, cursing. He was not like your uppity up military leader, but he was a brilliant tactician. And so the ancients reached out to that person to lead them in a battle, and ultimately were successful. And again, it wasn't the message, or it wasn't the mission. They had to choose an imperfect person to execute the mission as it's needed. And so I look at it the same way. Cat fight. I had to step away from my neighbor's cat. Oh no. Sometimes the universe works in a certain way where the person you don't expect to give you a good solution or a good message may be exactly the one you need to hear it from. So, right, exactly, Linus. And that's the point, is I try to keep an open mind. I've met so many people from so many different cultures and so many places of the world that I try to maintain an open mind. And you'll know, once you've been around enough, you'll know evil when you see it. Like, you'll see some bad shit and you'll be like, oh, you are the devil and I should be away from you. And I'll pick it up quick at this point, because I've gotten my butt beat in the street. I think I was joking with Joe about that once. I've been beaten up on the street a couple of times for missing that judgment call. So, but in any case, it's funny because my wife went to get her hair done today, and her hairstylist is a bit younger than us, not young, maybe 30s. And she watched the movie and said, she tells my wife, I now have a list of things that I should have been doing 2 years ago. but I'm going to get them done this month. She said, I'm going to dedicate a few hours this weekend, and I'm going to focus on, she was 101 stuff like canned food and extra flashlights and toilet paper and all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, if this movie got, another 0.5% of population actually thinking, going, what if there is a power outage that lasts 2 weeks? I just saw that one last message. That was kind of funny. Several copies of me. Joe. I don't want folks to not get that message, and if someone who hadn't really thought about it suddenly says, wow, I really need to do something, and they may not know what, but they're prepared to do something, just run the red light, dude. That's all good. And these are the monkeys' asses that get hit by a dump truck, and then they're like, oh, I'm calling the lawyer, I got hurt by a semi. No, you're a pendejo and you went through the red light. I mean, it's entertaining for me because he's 50 yards over there, but, scary. But, Joe, I don't want you guys to lose the message because of the messenger, I guess, in a nutshell. And I was trying to formulate the way to say it, because a good message is still a good message. Hey, book club. Even if you say pecan wrong. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, I would watch it. If you can't get the movie, again, 10 Cloverfield Lane, that was a little more mainstream studio. Leave the World Behind. Goodbye World is another one that's a little off the cuff. Dragon Day is very edgy. And How It Ends is another one. And Neil, exactly. And that's where I'm going with the reference to Jehu from the Old Testament. The Old Testament is he was not the perfect person, but he was the perfect person to accomplish the objective. And so it's important that we keep an open mind that sometimes we'll hear the right thing from the wrong person. And it's important we have the discernment to recognize the difference. And at least you used a signal. Dude, that guy's turning, you're gonna crash. Gee whiz. So there's a little, it's like a little sports car. It's full of 20-somethings that are just having their own little party in there. They're probably stoned. And I guess they think it's Grand Theft Auto 3.4 because the car's janky, but they're trying to drive fast. But what they're doing, they're gonna hit a pickup truck, and then that's gonna end badly. Knuckleheads. They're having a blast in that car. The party already started. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon over here. But I would encourage you, any of those movies, hey, Jetmac, if you can see any one of them, they're great. I would check, there are a few independent ones on YouTube that should be free, other than you get the stupid commercials. So if you look for like apocalyptic movies, there are a few independent ones that, college students or some kind of cinematic group put out there. And you got to take some with a grain of salt. Some of them, the acting is horrendous. Hey, Hill Summit, welcome. Some of them are awful. But you can always learn something, even from the really bad ones. But again, I was impressed. They did not make the preppers look like lunatics. They actually made us look like people who are paying attention. And yes, National Geographic's American Blackout. Oh, I was yelling at the young couple that was stuck on the high-rise because they did everything wrong, which I guess was the point, and it agitated the crap out of me. I'm like, that's not what you do. It's like when you yell at the person in the horror movie, don't go in the basement. That's what I was doing. I got a bit riled up with that one. But, folks, go back to the basics. Make sure you have the flashlights. I know it's silly. Make sure you have some food. Make sure you have the first aid kit. If you have the pews, make sure you have the pew pellets to go with the damn pews, or else it's just a metal club. Or unless you have a Glock, then it's a plastic metal club. Stay with the fundamentals and stay on budget. Another thing, the hairstylist shared with my wife was she said, and she's a really good stylist, right? She's booked months in advance. She said, I know we're in a recession because all the other stylists here are struggling badly. Some may close down before Christmas. You would think before Christmas and New Year's, hair, nails would be crazy busy. No, they're not. I'm looking at small stores out here. Coffee shops are doing great. Kohl's are doing great, like Kohl's, TJ Maxx, where you get the bargain discounts. They're making a killing. The big box stores, Best Buys, and all the other ones, I'll bet you we're not seeing, hey, Tennessee, they're not saying it out loud, but after Black Friday, they're like, it's predicted to be the best Black Friday in 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, they stopped talking. That went away. And Target, Amazon, Best Buy all downgraded their forecasts. Thank you, Tennessee. I appreciate you, brother. They're not saying that part out loud, because if they do, the nation will freak. And it's an election year. So I think in Q1, we're going to know, because if we go to Q1 and they're like, oh, the shopping and all this stuff has been terrible, and it was a disappointing quarter, watch everything freak out. And that's what we're ready for, right? That's why you have the food. Hey, Frank, that's why you have the flashlights. That's why you do the preps. You don't need a massive Russian cyber attack to precipitate problems. Other things can, right? Remember, 5-6 years ago, pre-COVID, people would punch each other over plastic shit from China, celebrating the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. The irony of that has never escaped me, by the way. So how do you think they're going to act when food, power, water become a problem? So folks, now say, hey, Irishman, stay with the basics. It was very interesting. I'm hearing it from car dealers. I'm hearing it. So the bars are doing well. I have friends who are bartenders. They're like, we're kicking ass. People are just drinking cheaper drinks. They're not getting the bougie mixed drinks. They're going with beer and straight whiskey. And I'm like, okay. Because, let's face it, since time immemorial, people have gotten depressed and gotten drunk. So, there you go. I guess if I retire from the energy sector, I'm just going to open a bar, because I'll never go out of business, right? But folks, look, if you get a chance, catch one of those movies. Again, the new one is Leave the World Behind. The other ones, and they come from different studios. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Goodbye World, How It Ends, and there was another one I mentioned earlier and I forgot. Although if you want to watch Sum of All Fears to see what a terror attack would do to a city, that one would be a good one too. So, but again, just because certain people, Goodbye World, yeah, just because people you may not be a fan of, like the Obamas, may be among the funders or producers in a movie, if the message is good, keep an open mind. Like I said, the Lord does sometimes uses people we don't expect to convey a message. And you know what? If they're involved and other people on the other side of the political spectrum suddenly stop and go, wait a minute, maybe I do need to be ready. Maybe my prepper friend down the road is not a complete lunatic. Maybe she's onto something. Then the message was good. But anyway, folks, look, I got to keep this short. Part of my wife's birthday gifts was a concert, and we're headed there in a couple hours. So I got to go get myself ready because I look like a ragamuffin right now. Look, you guys, be good, be safe out there, be smart. And yes, booze does help with anxiety. And keep yourselves out of trouble. And I will see you guys later on. Y'all have a blessed